Seun puts on his headphones and mixes tunes as he is a DJ at a loud and happening party. The crowd goes crazy and dances while he loses himself in the music. Nelly's night is the complete opposite of this, as she sings in an elaborate choir at her orchestra recital. Afterward, she is greeted by friends, family, and her boyfriend, Miko. He kisses her and gives her some flowers as she watches her mother receive praise for how talented her daughter is. Her dad couldn't make it to the event because he was stuck in a meeting. When she gets home, she sees that her father is already there and assures her that he got out of the meeting earlier than expected. He's been using all this time to do research about her entrance exam. When she lies in bed with Miko that night, he quizzes her on all the names of facial bones for her entrance exam. But she is focused on the poster in her room, after which, she suggests that they should just sleep. When he's knocked out, she writes some lyrics to an original song she's been working on, which makes her really happy. The next morning, her father and Miko are ready to give her a lift because they're also going the same way. But she makes up the excuse that she isn't ready to leave yet and will go on her bike instead. She cycles all the way to the office of a music record company because they've been looking for a new R&B artist. The executive tells her to leave a demo which they'll check out later, but she doesn't have that. So she goes through everything that she can offer if they sign her and is willing to give an audition. They're in the elevator right now and the executive prompts her to sing on the spot. She hesitantly starts singing but finds her rhythm until the elevator stops and opens for Seun. He hears her too, but the executive makes her stop and redirects his attention to Seun. The executive lets Nelly know that she might have a chance if she brings a demo or is established like Seun, who already has a studio and an established fan base. Seun and Nelly are left alone in the elevator where Nelly asks him if he has a studio while being aware that she sounds really desperate. She requests Seun to help make her demo and wants him to compose R&B music. He can help her, which lightens her face until he arrogantly states that R&B music is an illness that should be wiped off of Earth. He gets out of the elevator to chat with the rapper while Nelly remains inside, feeling her dream being crushed already. Seun listens to a song that has been made out of his beat. He absolutely hates it and insults the composer who worked on it. Seun's friend, the composer, reminds him that they have to make a song for the radio so that it goes mainstream instead of their regular cult following. But Seun doesn't want to create some generic track that fills the gaps between commercials. His friend doesn't understand how he got a contract with a half-done demo, but they can lose this deal just as easily as they got it. Seun storms out because he wants to create real music, even if that means losing the record deal. Seun later meets up with his friends and colleagues at a bar to have drinks. One of them points out that the song was okay and could have sold records. But for Seun, the measure of a good track is to get the feeling in his heart. His friend, however, has a family to support, unlike him. They both get into an argument about what the approach to their career should be, when a young woman interrupts them. She coyly asks for Seun's autograph, and he suddenly is at a loss for words. It's obvious how uncomfortable he is around women, so his friend jumps in and offers the fan to sit with Seun. Seun's friends are about to leave the bar when the woman offers to take him to her place. He is nervous and doesn't know how to respond, which is why the woman loses interest, and eventually leaves. His friends mock him for the wasted opportunity, and they even suspect that he is gay. They get to another bar and Seun already hates the music playing inside, so he doesn't want to go in. His friend teaches him that all the beautiful women have the worst taste in music, so he'll have to adjust. His other friend keeps questioning his sexuality throughout the night, and they keep making fun of him for turning down an advance from a woman. Seun claims to have high standards, but they know that he is in fact just scared of women. Seun's friends challenge him to pick up a girl from this bar because they are all high-standard girls. This is when he spots Nelly dancing with her friends, so he decides to shut his friends up for good. He informs them that he'll approach the blonde one, but they are sure that she won't even look at him. They watch Nelly excuse herself from Miko and move to a quieter corner of the bar to talk to her friend. This is when Seun walks up to them with an awkward greeting, and begins to talk to Nelly about the demo they could create together for her. He wants a more modern sound and she is fine with a dance track, but she also wants something soulful. Miko brings Nelly and her friend some drinks while Seun is still there. She lies about Miko being her big brother, which shocks her friend. He gives her his phone, and she puts her number in it, which is all very surprising for Seun's friends, who underestimated his skills. Seun lets them know that she'll come by the studio tomorrow, and he spends the next morning working at the paint factory. Miko drives Nelly to Seun's studio later that day and judges the hood, while Nelly watches with fascination. He doesn't understand the purpose of this unconventional studio, so he opts to wait in the lobby. But Nelly just sends him off, with plans to meet him at night. Seun's friends show up at the studio, because they need proof of him and Nelly hooking up. They leave a tape recorder under the couch, but Seun argues that he doesn't want to tape anyone without their consent. His friends start mocking him again when Nelly gets there. Seun shyly introduces her to his friends and fellow rap artists, who finally take their leave. Nelly walks in and checks out this strange setting for a studio. Seun offers her beer or homemade wine, but she insists she doesn't drink during the day. Seun is practically squatting and putting together a rhythm for Nelly. But according to him, his computer crashed, which Nelly doesn't believe because she can see it working just fine. Seun comes up with the idea of checking out her lyrics, so she shows him the songwriting she did. He can't help but sneak a peek at her cleavage, after which, he anxiously starts reading her lyrics. Nelly takes the initiative and proposes that she'll feel more comfortable working with him if she knew his R&B style. Instead, he makes excuses about some technical difficulties that need to be sorted out. So she tells him she'll come back when everything is working fine and leaves the studio. When Seun gets to his friends after the meeting, they predict that nothing happened because they believe classy girls like her don't put out on the first date. When Nelly's friend asks her about how her meeting with Seun went, she replies that he hit on her, but she just wants to know what kind of music he makes, which is why they're at an underground dive bar, where Seun plays with his friends. As soon as Nelly's friend sees a picture of Kandai, Seun's friend, she leaves in a hurry after making some excuse. Nelly goes to the bar where the crowd is grooving to Seun and his friend's performance. She doesn't understand their hype or why some women in the crowd are going so crazy over Seun. She is about to go home when Seun's friend, Mr. Daddy, finds her at the bar. He brings her backstage where his friends and wife are chilling. He calls Nelly Seun's girlfriend in front of everyone, which seems to bother her. Seun senses her discomfort and clarifies to everyone that they are not a couple. Mr. Daddy comments on how uptight she is, so she takes a dig at their nonsensical music. Mr. Daddy doesn't like his music being insulted, so he storms off. Seun apologizes to Nelly and asks for her genuine opinion on their music. Nelly admits that this isn't her type of music, which is why she was just about to leave. He then walks her outside and informs her that his equipment is fixed, and there's a great track ready for her. Nelly no longer wants to work on the demo with him, because their styles are too different. But Seun argues that he can be open-minded and adjust to her preferences. He insists that she listen to his track at least once, so she agrees to consider his invitation, but doesn't make any promises. Seun spends the rest of his time working on a track that he knows will appeal to Nelly. Then, he cleans up the space before her arrival, and tidies himself up too. Thankfully, Nelly shows up and they start working on the demo. He expresses his admiration for her singing skills, while also complimenting her looks. She calls him out for flirting with her, so he gets flustered and tries to cover up his embarrassment. Nelly believes that Seun's track has potential and she begins recording. During this, he tries multiple makeshift recording settings to get the best sound. But his lack of communication annoys Nelly, until she realizes that's just the way he works. He cracks a joke, which makes her smile, and they resume working together, which leads to a productive session. She leaves his studio in the evening on her bike, and this goes on for several days, until they have their first draft on hand. Nelly doesn't like the way she sounds, so Seun assures her that he can make anyone sound good. However, she is aware that her singing is still a bit stiff, pointing out how record companies want smoother singing. Seun questions whether she is dissatisfied with her singing, or if she is concerned that others will be. He thinks if she worries about others' approval, she'll become deaf. He reminds her that there is more to singing than pleasing others. She then shares the other side of her life with him, stating she should be reviewing for her medical entrance exam at this time. She talks about how heart lies in singing, but she doesn't want to risk her future because of it. He gives her his own example, where he works days in a factory so that he can keep producing the music he wants. This inspires Nelly and she starts to admire his approach to life. One night, she lies to her boyfriend and father about seeing her friend Mary, when she actually meets up with Seun. He takes her to the Hood's Galley, which is a public building everyone has vandalized with their own graffiti. As she tries her hand at vandalism with excitement, she wonders what her dad would think of it. He probably built this place as this is her family business. He looks at her as her face beams with the thrill of deviance and rebellion. She accepts that this is very fun, and continues to leave her mark with him. They're still working on their graffiti when she hears someone behind them. She completely loses her cool and runs, so he follows her after picking up all the spray paint he brought over. Nelly keeps running for a long while, and when he finally catches up to her, she reports that she saw someone really short. Seun pokes fun at her for believing that those buildings have child-sized guards, so she hits him playfully until they both come close to each other. They maintain intense eye contact for a while until Nelly mentions that she should get her bike. The next day, Seun's friends pitch an idea for how their tracks should be, and get the most unexpected response. Seun goes along with their suggestion, which is a first for him. But now he's not as bitter as he once was. His friends obviously don't believe that he agreed out of love for them and assume that he is high on something strong. Nelly teaches a dance class, one which Mary also attends. Mary struggles along with most of Nelly's students to catch up to her fast-paced dancing. Once the class is over, Mary points out how Nelly's dressing and music taste have changed. She suspects that this is all due to the new hood rat in Nelly's life, because Seun is all she talks about these days. Nelly denies Mary's allegations even though she knows deep down that her friend is right. Nelly and Miko are looking at a house to move into, when he notices that she is distracted. Upon his inquiry, she discusses that she feels like things are changing too fast. He comforts her, saying there is no need to rush, but she somehow ends up agreeing on the house he likes the most. When she gets to the studio that night, she finds Seun putting up decorations to amp up the studio. He plays her the track he made last night, and she thinks it's the R&B sound of her dreams. Nelly feels conflicted as she walks closer to him. When he pauses the song, she compliments it but breaks the news to him that there is no need for one more song. Nelly explains that she has a lot going on in her life and is really busy, so she just wants to finish the one song they were working on, and of course, this is disappointing for Seun. He continues to work on the song, but his equipment malfunctions again. He throws the equipment around, and it's obvious that he's taking his anger out on his equipment. He realizes his mistake and apologizes for his rude behavior. The last step is to listen to the song on a proper stereo, but Seun doesn't have that. So they both go to Nelly's house where she has some expensive stereos they can play their song on. Her dad sees them at the door, which surprises her because she expects him to be out during this time of the day. She hesitantly introduces them both to each other and mentions that they came here to listen to a song. She brings up that Seun is a composer and they've been working on a song together, which they need to play right now. Nelly's dad instructs Seun to remove his shoes before inviting him in, after which, everyone listens to their song being played on the stereo. Nelly's mom is curious about how this song was created and listens in interest as Seun explains his process. Seun takes notes while listening to the song, and Nelly's father gives his verdict once the song is over. He understands that this must have been difficult to make, and compliments the song and his daughter's talent. But he doesn't understand the point of doing this right now, because her exams are approaching. Seun shares that Nelly is doing this because she wanted to, but this isn't a good reason for her father. He claims that one can and wish for many things, but merely wishing holds no meaning. He shares how he once wanted to be an actor, but still, he never regretted getting a real job. Everyone raises a toast to Nelly to show how much they love her, but they don't really support her. Later on, Nelly is on the terrace with Seun and she shows him the way to the bus stop. She assures him that she's fine, and that her family is just trying to encourage her. But he knows the difference between encouragement and pressure. Still, he sees that her family cares about her at least, which might be enough to keep her happy. Nelly admits that she has grown to appreciate his talent. We find out he also took her for a snob at first, but has learned by now that she is just a normal girl. Nelly confides in him about how no one has ever said something so nice about her. Nelly does more recording with Seun, and he finds himself often immersed in her beauty. She seems to radiate when she sings, and he is really drawn to that. He cooks her some spicy pasta and they sit on the top floor of his studio, an area he calls Cyprus. He explains to her that he and his friends could never visit Cyprus together, so they created their own version of that place in their space. As he slurps on the pasta that Nelly is also eating so elegantly, he worries that he will mess his shirt up. So Nelly recommends he take it off, which makes him blush. She watches as he removes his shirt and puts it away. Nelly follows him and takes off her top too. He looks at her longingly before continuing to eat his pasta, but some of it accidentally gets on his bare chest, so Nelly wipes it off with her finger and sucks on it. She gets some of her pasta on her torso too, and Seun replicates her move. The sexual tension between them gets more tense as they inch closer to each other. They are about to kiss when Seun backs off, because there is someone at the door. The visitor is none other than Miko, who Seun still thinks is Nelly's brother. Seun is still shirtless as he greets Miko, while Nelly quickly gets dressed. Miko mentions that he was in the neighborhood, so he decided to stop by to listen to their songs, adding that he also brought some snacks over. Miko looks over at Nelly, who appears uneasy, probably because her shirt is on backwards. Miko listens to their song as he puts two and two together. His suspicion is confirmed when Seun calls Nelly his sister. Miko abruptly gets up to take his leave, and Nelly offers to tag along. Miko lets her have her time, because she can go home on her bike, but she joins him nevertheless. Back at their home, Nelly reasons with Miko by coming up with excuses about why she was shirtless with her music composer in his studio. Miko is overwhelmed but is still eager to listen. Nelly is upset over the fact that he doesn't believe her, and is about to cry when he levels with her. He comforts her even though she is the one at fault and takes her in his embrace. As she lies in bed with him that night, Nelly stays awake because she no longer recognizes herself. She later meets up with Mary, who instantly picks up on the fact that something is off. Nelly updates her friend about her moving into a new place and invites her over to dinner. Nelly spends the whole time talking about why she and Miko moved in together, instead of studying with Mary. Mary shows up at Seun's doorstep randomly and introduces herself. She demands to know what Seun wants from Nelly and calls him out for ruining her life. The smile on Seun's face disappears when he learns that Nelly is moving in with Miko in a week. She breaks the news to him that Nelly and Miko have been a couple since childhood, and that he shouldn't have fun at someone else's expense. That night, Seun gets hammered and is dragged home by his friends. Nelly wakes Seun up the next morning while he is still hungover from the night before. She came over because he wasn't answering her calls. She is here to record as planned, while Seun's friends are also at his place. Seun grabs the tape recorder from under his bed and commands her to record herself. He walks away from her while she is still confused. He openly declares the bet he made with his friends, and accepts his defeat at the challenge. He wants this to be over now, but Nelly makes it clear that she doesn't care about the bet. She tells him that she will sleep with him in exchange for the record deal after the demo, even though it breaks her inside. Sometime later, Seun finishes her demo. Nelly totally blanks out during her medical entrance exam because of everything that has been going on in her life. She heads to the record company one day to get direct feedback on her demo. The executive likes it, but it is just not what the company is looking for at the moment. However, she is free to send her demo to other companies. When she is about to leave, she decides to test him. She asks for his opinion on the third track and he incessantly gives it, even though there were only 2 tracks on the demo. Seun returns to being his old bossy self when it comes to making tracks, and he ends up getting into a huge fight with his friends. Mr. Daddy discovers Seun's hard disk to be full of Nelly's jingles, and realizes that he is in love with her. Seun's friends understand that he is acting this way because he is heartbroken. They make up with him and share their words of wisdom on how to deal with heartbreak. Meanwhile, Nelly finally gets offered a deal, but the record company has a problem after knowing that Seun produced these tracks, because his deal has been cut off. Nelly elaborates that they no longer work together, after which, she gets an offer letter. She goes home and brings it to her room where Seun has been waiting for her. He is there because he has new tracks for them to work on. But she informs him about the record deal she just got. This brings her to remember the bet Seun made with his friends. She taunts him by urging him to sleep with her to win his bet. This causes them to both feel infuriated. Next, the record company has a meeting with Seun, where he easily gives up his rights to Nelly's tracks for her sake. After that, Seun goes home and sees his little brother is playing video games all by himself. He brings his brother a CD and plays games with him, bonding with the only family he has. Nelly is at the photo shoot for her cover art where she is being hypersexualized to sell records. She later finds out that Seun gave up these tracks for free, and they are now going to make her a star. She goes to her father to show him her CD and lets him know that she won't go to med school. Her dad tries to show his support in the way he knows how. She goes to Seun's gig to return his CDs but ends up dumping Miko that night after Seun confesses his feelings to her. It turns out that Mary and Kandai hooked up some years ago and she gave him an STD, which is how he got the name. Nelly spends the night singing along with Seun and his friends at their wild performance, as the combination of love and music is what makes her the happiest.